My name is Dr. Bessie Green. I am the sitting president of the Chipman Foundation Incorporated. I have been assigned to that position for 1 year, but I have total years of about 15 years plus.
My name is Warren White, and I'm the current vice president of the Chipman Foundation Board, and I'm glad to be here with you today.
My name is Deneen Jones-Ward, and I am an active board member.
My name is Herbert Fletcher. They call me Fletch. My role at the Chipman Center is the entertainment chairman. What I do as an entertainment chairman is I plan events that raise money for operating capital for the Chipman Cultural Center.
It's a place that holds so many memories, and it has so much vital history of the area, especially when it pertains to African American people, if you can use that word, because this place right here is actually the foundation or the starting place for many that impacted the lives of not only black people in this area, but anybody, but especially the black community. This premises, this land, this history, this building is the foundation for many things that have happened to the black community in Salisbury.
It means that, for the first thing, it means that I am giving back what the Chipmans gave to me when I was going to Salisbury High School. The inspiration to continue my education, to give back to my community, to help and to nurture younger people than myself, the history of the school and the surroundings as I knew it when growing up.
The Chipman Center means everything to me because I spent most of my life with Janet and Charles H. Chipman in high school. When I went to high school, Mrs. Chipman and Mr. Chipman were like a parent. They instilled in me how to survive in the world that we were living, the Jim Crow world that we were living in at that time. And I just thought, when I got the opportunity to serve on this board, that I could give back. And that's what it really means to me, giving back to what they had installed in me.
Okay, well, the interesting thing about this is that our foundation of this building goes back to the enslaved members that were being held at the Poplar Hill Mansion, which is just around the corner. And that from those individuals, there are 5 of them that have been recorded in history, that those were the ones who purchased this property. And the intent was to purchase that. They built first a school to educate black children. They later built a church, which was a 1-story. And so our very foundation in this area, today, we owe it all to the historic men that were enslaved at Poplar Hill Mansion that came and had the insight to establish a school, church, and then finally to expand it to the Chipman Cultural Center that we're sitting in today.
Hardships, we all face hardships and different types. A hardship may be harsh at first, but it's a growing tool for those who need the strength to move on. So as far as the Chipman Center and the hardships there, it's a normal thing as running an organization. Seeing the things that we cannot achieve, the things that we must achieve, and the things that we have to just accept.
Oh, so much has changed over time, which is probably one of the greatest things about my involvement, our involvement in the Chipman Cultural Center. See, our basic premise is what we need to do is that throughout Wicomico County, as I begin to look at the history, and I looked at many books, and they talked about how the county was established, how it came out of 2 counties, Somerset and Worcester, and there were pictorial books. There's all kinds of histories about this founding. And when I looked into many of those books, I did not see much about the black community and what did it look like? Because certainly we were here. And so the interesting thing about that is I began to look and say, our story needs to be told. And sometimes when you're looking at history, history is only told to those who tell the history. Those who were sharing what they saw through it, we need to do the same thing. So we need to tell our story, and we need to have a place. If you want to come and learn about our story, a housing place, if you will, an archive place, the Chipman Cultural Center is the place, just like a library. If you want to go and research things on a particular thing, you can go to the library and find many things. If you want to know about the history of this area and how it was impacted, the Chipman Cultural Center is now a housing place for that, and we hope to expand that so when you come here, you can look back into the past of how African American people lived, survived, thrived, and were part of the makers of Wycomico County that has not been showing up in the history books or even being taught in the classes at school. So sometimes we have to be responsible to make sure that we can share our stories and the lives of our ancestors, and it's up to us to tell that story instead of relying on someone else to tell the story for us.
Just 1 year in this position, I can say absolutely, we've gotten support from the city. We've gotten support for surrounding people in Newtown. So there's no backlash. They all are trying to help us to succeed, actually.
At one time in Salisbury, and my children don't know this, and I think a whole lot of other children born today, we had a town that was really dedicated to what we would call at that particular time colored people. We had a physical town that had hundreds of businesses. So what happened was, in the early, I'd say 1949, Route 213 came into Main Street. A lot of people traveling to Ocean City came down 213, went through Main Street, went out Main Street, hit Old Ocean City Road, went to Ocean City. Okay, but it was only 18 streets in Ocean City at that time. So as Ocean City began to grow, I believe the city government here or the planning and zoning or some government facility decide to move what was 213 and which became Route 15 running down Main Street. They decided to move it over just north of Main Street, which went through the colored business of Salisbury. And at that particular time, what happened is the businesses that were established there, they began to go downhill. A lot of them were put out of business, but Route 50 came through here, and also John Wesley was up here, the Baptist church was up here, Wesley Temple was up here, and what happened is when Route 50 split the town up, the membership here at John Wesley Church began to dwindle. The Baptist church was able to move from Georgetown, which is here on Broad Street. They were able to move over on Delaware Avenue and Bruce Street. Wesley Temple moved on Lake Street, but a fire happened there. Then they moved to West Road. But because this place was somewhatly being abandoned, the Chipmans came in and purchased this building. And they established it through the Newtown Association by deeding certain ways. They established it as being the Charles H. Chipman Center. And I just want to say one thing else about the Charles H. Chipman Center being established at that time. I've been in art and music all of my life, but I had no place to perform, no place to display my arts and craft. I was building stereos at 14 that you see today, but I didn't have nowhere. The only place we could display that was in the lobby of the Salisbury High School, which eventually was tore down. But this building is important because it was intended to display our culture. And the thing is that really amazes me is we as people, and I mean we as people, I'm talking about myself, is we do not know what our impact is in the world. We don't really have an idea, and I'm going to use a language, we don't know who the hell we are sometimes. And this place gives you the opportunity to at least know something about your history. Know that you had a town here, that you could make your money and put your money back into that town. Now you have nothing of that nature.
I can say truthfully that the board that is under my watch at this moment works as a team, which means that we all work together. We're on the same page. So it makes it a lot easier to function in that manner, and we do so with grace and enjoyment.
You know, that's very interesting, because when even many people today, that's a subject that many people don't want to talk about. But when I talk about it, and what we are thinking about here, is there were systems put in place that we didn't ask for. We didn't ask for separate school systems, but the people in power decided that this is how they wanted things to run. We didn't argue about it, that we had to go to separate schools. Now, many people look at that as if it was a curse that they're separated, but see, this is what people decided to do in separate systems. So for us, this is how we lived. Now, it's not that we didn't live in an area where there were other races of people, but the fact is, a system was set up by someone else and says, we're going to be separate, but we're going to be equal. The truth of the matter is, we had our own businesses, we had our own communities, we had our own churches. Anything that you had in one community, you had in another. So it wasn't that it was evil, as far as we can say. The evil thing was that we were being mistreated, we were being underfunded. And when it came down to a point, and they did this by legalizing it, so they made it a law. And then as people begin to evolve and say, well, why do we need to have laws? Why do we need to mistreat people like this? And when they decided that, okay, there were court cases that made it so people had to get uncomfortable. And they said, well, okay, maybe we should get rid of the dual system. Well, what are we going to do with it? Well, they call it, well, we're going to integrate. Well, what were we integrating? Because out of the two systems that I went through, and we were part of both of them, the system that I came up in our black community, it was a great system. Our schools, our teachers, our principals, our doctors, we had everything within our community, within reach. And now they were talking about, well, we're going to bring the two together. And what happened more than anything was it destroyed more of the black community and the things that we had. It destroyed, even though we both had two education systems, a lot of the black teachers, when they immigrated, lost their jobs. A lot of the principals, they no longer could be principals of schools because it happened. In this area in particular, there were 5 high schools in what I call the segregated era. 4 for white students, 1 for black students. No matter where you go in the county, black kids only had 1 school to go to. And when they integrated the school, integration to me means you're supposed to mix it up. Well, guess what happened? And not only here, but on the Horseshoe Shore, all of the black schools that were part of this dual system got eliminated. So, and we as a people, again, how is that fair? If you're going to integrate it, why? But that's what happened, because the people in power decided that that's the way it was going to be. So it is up to us again, because when you do that, you destroy our history, you destroy our everything. Now we've got to remind even those of us and anyone outside, we have a history. It was a great history, and it was a proud history.
From history, what I find that there were 5 free slaves or free men in 1837 that gathered a place together. We always, as a people, when we were families, used to like to get together and gather, and we talked, and we pass things between one another. Well, after they established the place in 1837, I think in 1838 they established a physical building here, which became like a church. And I sincerely believe those free men found this land, and I don't know if you're going to understand what I'm going to say, a little reverend. That's why they established as a one-story African Methodist church. Then about 1876, they established at the John Wesley Methodist Episcopal Church. Then sometime after that, Frederick Douglass came in here and helped them construct the upstairs. And it led to today.
We are facing this now across the board, across the country. There's a financial struggle here, but it's not something that we cannot manage, and we're doing so as a team.
Well, you know what? They would not know the impact of some of the greatest educators and people that they could have met had they really been in touch with. We had a true black community. And I mean to tell you, from even entertainment and music, some of the greatest musicians that even happened in the world today came out of this county, came out of Salisbury High School, came out of other black schools in this area. They would not know, as a lot of people would not know. They would not know even the formation of this county, what happened. A lot of people don't know that Division Street in Salisbury by the courthouse was a dividing line between Somerset and Worcester County. They would not know that Professor Chipman and his wife, the reason why they purchased this property, because they even knew that when they came through this progression of building up Salisbury, it displaced black businesses. It was all gone, and this building is the only, aside from the partial next door, of what remained of a thriving black business district throughout the years. And here we are in 2026, and there's only one standing building that you could even look at physically and say this was part of a thriving black community. And that's what they got to understand. And it wasn't because our black people did not want to thrive. It was intentional to destroy these communities in the name of progress.
Over the years, because of political situations, because of the economy, because of COVID-19, those challenges are challenges to everyone, not just the Chipman Center, not just the neighborhood, but everybody. Financial challenges, space challenges, maintenance challenges, those type of things. That's something you have to endure when you have an organization that must function daily. Daily activities can be a challenge, but I say again, those things come and you manage them and you go on, and you function later on. That's been one of my challenges throughout the years being a member, and especially as a president, because that's my responsibility to be visible in the community. And how we are handling it together is like in the older days, by mouth, by relationships, by introducing yourself. We have cards that introduce the center. We talk for the most as we can talk to different people, organizations, and interact with each other. Big problem, unfortunately, because financially we cannot support full-time staff. And in saying that, we all chip in to do what we can. Now, we have volunteers in the community, our friends and organizations that step in as needed. But we do need more people to interact with us more times that we cannot afford. But it's getting better. It is getting better because we are getting some support, and we've just had a terrific fundraiser. So that helps a lot.
I honestly don't know how well known it is. The only reason why I pretty much know about this center was one, because of my mom. She did tell me about the history. And then two, I've been to this facility different times for meetings, community meetings. So it is actually located in a very beautiful part of Salisbury. However, I think that it does get missed because of the other churches that happen to be a part of this area. The roadway is so busy as far as Route 50. The courthouse is right across the street. So I think maybe people are really looking at the outskirts of the area and may not be fully aware of where this location is. The other thing too is that the board has done a tremendous thing, a tremendous have a tremendous opportunity in reference to making sure that people do know about the community, what we have to offer here, but sometimes people want to distance themselves from the history. So that could also be a challenge in and of itself.
It is important because we are trying, all of the members and all the friends of Chipman are trying to revisit the best part of an area in Salisbury that has been sort of disappearing. It's not forgotten, it's just fading because there's no visual, there's no hands-on, there's no interaction as to what we should talk about. We, as a team, get together and we talk about the history of the area, the culture in the area, the interaction between people in what is known as the older days. The younger youth of today need to know that history, for the history as it is, not made up, the truth of what was, what is not here today, what needs to be revisited, reappreciated for those people who we now stand on the shoulders as we success in the future.
It's important again because it is a historical place where a lot of places right now, I know this area is so rich with its cultural history. But it's important because it really speaks to the educational sector of this community. There are so many things, so many negative things that are seen on the news when someone commits a crime, when something does not go well in the Black community. But we're about empowerment, we're about enrichment, we're about cultural remembrance, we're about just making sure that our heritage is appreciated. The other thing too is that this is such a beautiful structure, and also the ability to be able to be in a place where my historical members of my community did not think it robbery to secure such a beautiful facility so people can come back for generations to come. And even just being able to appreciate this particular location. And it's also, again, empowering ourselves, engaging us as Black people in a different way. And we need that space. We need secular spaces as well as spiritual spaces to be able to do that. And this is a combined space that allows for us to do all of that.
Now, I must say, we do not have a standing relationship with the museums because we're now just building our museum as a museum, not just as a center for events and activities. So this is what we're putting forward to do again, because we can't exist unless we do interact with other common activities in the area. So that's on our plate. And we have a plan to interact with as many of the museums, many of those historical buildings. But we must understand that we need people from the outside, friends of Chipman, to help us do that. We as a small group cannot do everything by ourselves. We do need people. So once we get that in place, we will do the best. You will know Chipman Cultural Center, face up, okay?
First of all, community means unity. So when people are all on the same page, and they come together for whatever the situation, event, activity happens to be. Finding that common ground, but culturally speaking, there are so many significant differences. The bottom line is that we have to put our pride down. We have to put some things that we may feel a certain way as far as negative thoughts. We need to be positive and think about the human good. Think about humanity. Think about what this place as well as other partnerships could bring once we all are connected together. But also just appreciating the Black experience and also being real about that and allowing that to be a part of our history.
Now, that is new for us, even though it's been a couple of years. It was first established April 2022. And during that time, we were just getting over COVID-19. So things were not moving as fast as it should have. But what we're doing now, to go into phase 2, we're introducing ourselves again through the artifacts that we have collected locally and the things that we have on board to visit. That is going to be a stepping stone to make sure that this part of our activities will be in the public more. So far as this is phase 1, the next phase was to make a plan, which is, it has been made a plan to include other historical places as far as your collections of the local artifacts, to know how to manage them and to distribute the knowledge throughout their communities. We are doing that now at a small level there, but it's going to be expanded. When you talk about preservation, you have to know the past, the true past, the facts as they are, good or bad. And people who did not live in that era do not know what they don't know. So if you don't preserve it, you don't know. You don't know the activities of people, you don't know the culture, you don't know the ups and downs of what happened when. You know, like I said, our discussions, in our group, we discuss certain things, and we learn every time we get together what happened in this particular neighborhood, which is no longer happening. Why, when, and how come this happened? Can we improve upon the relationships between the people in the neighborhood? If you don't know, you cannot pass it on. There's good things that have been forgotten in the past because they have not been preserved. Why is anybody's guess? But it is our task to make sure in this neighborhood, as long as we are existing, that that's what we're going to do. That's our task. We have to do it, and we have to do it properly, because the facts are the facts. We don't want any guess, because the younger people have technology and they can define things. The past, because of the lack of technology that we do have today, you're not going to get it back. So if we don't have it physically, you can touch it, feel it, and you cannot experience it, but you can through some feeling that you get from the people who actually were there.
Because we need a place that people can actually come to and see some things. All the things that I previously said, all of the buildings, the places where we grew up frequenting, going to, don't exist anymore. This place could house and archive pictures, places. You can at least go back in history and physically see where some of it looked. We have that memory inside of here, many of us. We have it in our hearts. And we know how blessed we were to have that. But if I want to share that with you and tell you about it, you can get a sense of it. But if you walked in here and saw a picture, you said, wow, I did not know it looked like that. This is what this building can do once we get things in here, and we want to support our people to say, send us some pictures of how you grew up, areas that you grew up. We're looking for pictures of buildings that no longer exists except for when it was in disrepair. There were times these people, they had great businesses. We wanted to show them things that we did before it took a downturn, show them how it did, but we need to help our people to go look in your closets, look in your books, find some pictures and share it so that when our young people and other people want to see how did it look, and then, because a lot of us not going to be here, we're getting older now, and if the young people or even young adults don't come and share this with others, even with themselves, then it's going to be lost. And that was one of the things I know that the Chipmans wanted to have done when they purchased this, is that at least we can prevent everything that our people built from being leveled to the ground.
It is important because it's the oldest structure down here, and this is history. This building don't have, well, it didn't until about 2 years ago have a nail in it. It was built with pegs. You have to understand the architectural structure of the slaves that built this building. They were head of some of these architectural firms here building stuff today. This building, 1838, is still standing today. Hell, some, excuse my expression, but some of them are falling down. That's been built. New York just had a skyscraper falling down. It is absolutely important because it plays, it impacts history. And if we as a body that's on this board down don't preserve this, would be a royal farm here or something. You see what I'm saying? And it should not be that, because we've got a right to preserve our history. And if we don't take it upon ourselves to preserve our history, nobody else is. I hope I'm not getting too emotional with this, but it kind of touches me.
Well, one thing I would say is I hope that this piques your interest. I hope that you have an interest in understanding that this didn't just happen here in Salisbury, it happened all over this country. It's just like family reunions. Why do you have them? You go there to see people you haven't seen in a long. You go there and listen to stories. You want to remember. You may come there searching, trying to find something about a family member or someone that maybe you didn't know about, and you walk in here, you see the name as we have on our walls, some of the classes of students that graduated from the former Salisbury High School all the way back in the 1940s, and they walk in there and they see the name, that's my grandmother, that's my grandfather. And it bonds them. So this is why when people come here, you're going to be able to see something that without coming here, you are not going to get it, because there's no other place around here. You can go to the library or Neptune, they may have it there, but they're not volunteering to say, come and look at this display that we have about your community. That's our job to do that, which is what we're doing here with this Cultural Center and archiving our history. We want you to come here and see what many of us experienced.
For someone that has not visited here before, I would just ask one thing. Give us the opportunity to put it back together as it initially was. And then once we get it back together, you'll be able to equate to your history, and you will learn about things that you never knew existed. Because what is happening in America now is some people's history is being erased. You know, the greatness of all people in poverty and slaves and everything has been erased. They did good things. America's not just built on the millionaires and the well-to-dos. Most of these slave people built most stuff. They built the White House that's being torn down. Excuse my expression, but let's go on.
As my mentors and I love the board family, as they have said, please come, please visit, give us a try. You know, we're going to be here to educate, to let people know about the different artifacts that we have here, and then also to take a piece of the memory, wherever they happen to come from, to go back and to be able to share what they've learned from a cultural experience.
Well, a sense of understanding why it is important to connect to community and our history, because we lost that when we so-called integrated our society. So many of them think now, oh, it's better over here. We lost so much in that they don't even realize what was lost, and to which you see things are going now in the present time, and you wonder why these things are still going on, because it is still connected. It's about who's in power and who can do what. But they can't do anything to your lineage in your history if you are determined to make sure that the truth about who you are and your families are, if we're willing to come together again, maybe one day we'll see. Maybe we'll see a true black community again, but it's not probably going to happen to where everything is so dispersed right now. But that does not mean we can't have a location where you can come and learn and even come and meet and even come together to say we still have a need to be a community. Chipman Cultural Center is the place to come.
The Chipmans, Professor Chipman was my principal in high school here, and his wife, Mrs. Chipman, was my instructor, and she instilled certain things into me. They both did. And so you will leave by knowing that there is some people still alive that can tell you or make you understand what they gave to the people that were interacting with them. And then if you come to the center, you will learn those things, the true facts. You will take away that knowledge and facts, and we have pamphlets to give out to you, and we were going to develop workshops. So this will be a little easier for people coming in for visitations to take away something tangible in their hands. And then we're going to develop also a gift shop of memorabilia. They may be original or copies of thereof to take away. So that, in fact, is what you're going to be taking, like physical and in later times, the last times, or the past times given to you personally.
I will just hope that they realize, and I'm not saying this from a racial standpoint, that it takes everybody to create a world. And everybody's got something for this world. And if we don't learn that we got to put everybody together to make this world operate, then we're doomed to failure. That's what I would want to take away.
We have a website. We visit most of the community activities. You make a phone call and call us up. Because we do not have hours, we have appointment only. When we change that and get a staff, that'll be extended. But you will always get a call back answer to whether it's to have an event here, or a visitation, or a workshop, or whatever it is. Give a call, leave a message. You're going to get a call back. Mostly, get a call back from me, and I man that on Wednesdays most of the time, or someone else. But that's going to be expanded so we can do it every day. So, phone call, leave a message, and we'll get back to you.